Hello and welcome back to the basement. Jazz has existed and persevered through both times of uncertainty and celebration. The Austin jazz scene has lived on, not only because of its rich, diverse community, but because one venue has served as the hub, the soul, the home of that community for the past 3 decades. The Elephant Room. So as we celebrate 30 years since the doors to the basement have been open, we wanted to honor this Austin institution in the best way we know how, which is why we're excited to announce that we're working on a very special episode documenting the history of the Elephant with all of the familiar faces of the scene. But in the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy some stories we've collected from the basement over the years.
Hi, happy anniversary, happy birthday, Elephant Room. I met drummer from here, Brannen Temple, that Steve Bruton had told me about, about these players in Austin. I said, yeah, sure. So I played with Brannen on that album, and then I did a South by Southwest in 2001 with an organ trio. And Brannen played with me because my drummer from LA couldn't make it, and I just really dug it. And he told me about this place. He said, listen, I'm playing tonight at the Elephant Room, why don't you come on over? So, okay. So I'm walking down the street. He gave me the address, 315 Congress. And I'm walking down the street. I'm like, where is this place? I went, one side of the, and it's like, and I look, oh, it's down there. The sign says the Elephant Room. So I went down there. And I walked into the place. There's a narrow stairway going down, and then this brick wall. I said, man, this would be a great organ room, but how can I get my organ down there? He said, oh, there's an elevator behind the stage. Don't tell anybody. So I didn't tell anybody till just now. But I mean, over that period, the 20-year period, I played Ephraim Owens, Mike Malone, Brannen, Ephraim and Brannen and I had a group called Black, Red, Black. I won an award in Austin Music Poll. We did an album with that. I did lots of recording here. But the Elephant Room was always the hang, It was like the cool spot. Tenor Madness is one of the things I did. So I had Alex Koch and Mike Malone and Sam Lipman and Russell Haight and Bennett Wood. Just a lot of different, whoever, best tenor players around. Brian Donahoe. And just, it was great getting those two tenor players playing together. So I still do that when the place is open again. Played with Andre Hayward and Ephraim and Mike Malone and all these different people. So it's been a great time. I played a lot of jam sessions as well. And the music scene here in Austin, and because of the Elephant Room, people young students are able to play live with professionals. There's it's very unique. And so 20 years for me and 30 years for you guys. Keep it going.
I had a best friend who's a singer too. Her name was Willie Nicholson. And I called her my Mimi because she was older, like an aunt. And a really accomplished singer in that she had that thing, that cognac thing, that aged thing. I mean, not a beautiful voice, but just an experienced, voice. And I learned so much from her. And she and I used to, at the Elephant Room, everybody used to call us up because we had this routine with Route 66 as a duet and harmony and everything. And we had our parts and we were silly and we had our little moves and everything. And so for people to say, Pamela, Willie, do Route 66, Route 66, if I had a gig there or she had a gig there, or if we both came to see somebody who would allow us, who called us up, that was our thing. And I really miss that because all the musicians would get into it and we were just allowed to just to be ourselves and be silly and fun and so I really miss her. She passed away a couple of years ago. So I miss my Mimi and I miss our little act that we used to do at the Elephant Room.
I'm not myself of late. I'm feeling strangely great. I wonder why. I suppose some genius could explain.
There's about 3 or 4 other, about 6 people on the planet who were there and who knew what happened there. It was Tony Campisi's quartet, and he played every Tuesday night for years and years and years. And for whatever reason, I was down there, and John Mills was down there, and that was about it, and the bar staff and the band. So, you know, I think Will was behind the bar, one waitress, myself, John, Tony, and probably Doug Hall and Sticky and Buff, I would guess. But Tony was just on another level. I mean, he was just, he always had not mean technique wise, I mean, just musically. He had said, whatever it was, had gotten to a place musically, and it was just, oh my God, this is incredible. And you're looking around, John and I looking at each other across the room going, and there's nobody here, you know? But it was the most amazing, it's the best I've ever heard Tony play anything ever. And he had this whole set, and he kept begging John and myself, you know, go get a horn, man, come up here and play, get up here and play with me. And John and I both said, no, you don't realize what you've got. You don't realize what you're doing, and we don't want to screw it up. So we're just going to sit back here and let you be a genius for the rest of the night, okay? You know, because, and he was, you could see you know, if you ever knew Tony, he would get this look, the saddest eyes. I mean, a basset hound doesn't look as sad as Tony could. I mean, Tony, when Tony was heartbroken, he was heartbroken. And he just felt, you know, come on, guys, get up here and play. And John and I both, we go, no, this is too perfect. This is too fragile, too perfect. We can't get up here and screw this up.
I knew Tony for years. Matter of fact, when I was in Austin and doing my work up there, I'd also do work playing over at Riverbend Church with Mike Mordecai and the guys at the Riverbend Brass. And Tony was also a part of that whole scene. So I just like, you know, go over and hang with Tony and stuff. And after a while, we start getting into these nonsensical conversations involving scat. Hey, Tony, you know, oh man, you know, it's like Clark Terry mumbles, except you're holding like this chat with a couple of guys who actually know the language instead of everyone going, what is he saying? What is he saying?
We used to work with Tony's big band down at the Elephant Room, and I really enjoyed that so much. Or Tony would be the first person there when you get there, maybe about 40 minutes before the set. Tony would already be setting up the music stand and say, Tony, why are you here so early? He said, I was waiting outside for about 2 hours until I got a certain parking place. I wanted that parking place, so I just kept driving around. Then I got it. So you've been here for 2 hours? No, 2.5. Oh, he would do things like that. He would make sure that he had a great band with great music and presented the best way to make an audience very happy. Tony was a professional all the way through and just made me smile. It makes me smile right now. I'm thinking about his ashes in the urn on the stage at the Elephant Room. Now that's the true spirit of the jazz and the music down there. It's Tony Campisi. And there he is, right smack dab in the middle of the Elephant Room. Loved that little cat.
You know, Mike booked everybody. Now, I wasn't aware of this up until just a couple of years ago. He's the one that booked me and got me in there with Count Basie the night that Count Basie and his orchestra came to Austin. But Mordecai was just a pillar in the community, be it symphony dates. I mean, he's the one that set everything up. We brought the juice, but he set everything up. You know what I mean? I wasn't aware of that when it was going on, but you know, there's some genius musicians, and John Mills included, just so much vision. Mordecai had just vision, of course, beyond my expression. And I had not a clue that he was doing and creating the things that he was creating on the way to the Elephant Room. You know what I mean? But he had done so many things and had his hand in so many things. Thank you, Mordecai. I love you. I love you. Ooh, I'm going to cry right now. He did so much. I'm sorry. I just wouldn't have had that gig with the Basie band had it not been for him, you know? And for John Mills allowing me to sing in that band. It just, they just blew up my career. They just gave me wings, you know? And when Mr. Basie gave me bigger wings.
With my big band, every now and then, everything would line up just right. All the players and the music and the audience, and we would just burn through a tune, and it would just be up at a whole nother level, you know. And the coolest thing about that would be as soon as we finish the tune, cut it off, and the applause kind of dies down, and everybody in the bandstand's kind of looking at each other going, what just happened? Did we just do? Because everybody felt it. That is such a rare experience. So that's one of them. From the sublime to the ridiculous. One night playing with Beto and the Fairlanes, and the original piano in there was just beat to a pulp. And one of the notes was down to one string. A piano has strings that the hammer hits and makes the sound. So one of the notes was down to one string. One of those strings had broken. And so you hear da 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 gang da da da, you know, that kind of thing. So on the first tune, Beto found the gank note, and every tune, every solo, the rest of the night, he would make a point of landing on that note as many times as possible. And he would work it in musically, you know. That kind of thing. It was just brilliant.
So this is about maybe 10 years ago. So I was this is kind of at the end of my tenure as the house bass player. And I bought my upright that night. I didn't always bring my upright. There's a not so funny story about that I can tell you if you want. So a lot of times I would just bring my electric bass. But that night I brought my upright, and I'm glad I did, because it was during this very short window of time when Esperanza Spalding was living in town, like part-time. And she was really wanting to live here. She had a room at like a housemate, and she was really wanting to like not play. Like she wanted Austin to be her place, to get away from touring and recording and the East Coast thing. And unfortunately, it ultimately didn't work out. But this was when she was here, so she came down, and you know, there was someone else playing bass on stage, and I walked up to her, and I'm like, you know, Esperanza, please come up and play some bass. And I said, you can play my bass. And she was like, oh, no, I just want to hang in. I'm like, please, it would be so great. And she said, okay, I'll make you a deal. I'll play bass, but first, she said, I'll sit in on bass with, the groups. But she said, first, I want to sing a duet with me. And I was like, sure. I told Mike. And so we got everyone off the stage, and, I just hopped up on stage with her. And I'm like, what do you want to sing? And she said, let's sing My Romance, and My Romance is just, standard tune, and it's been done many, many times. And it's not like, any sort of groundbreaking, piece of music, but so, and we really didn't talk about it. She just told me the key, and I just played a little intro, and she started singing, and I just remember her looking up at the ceiling, holding the microphone, this teeny little girl with her big afro. And and when I look back on it, in my mind, when I close my eyes, she's glowing, light is coming out of her, and she's saying the most amazing version of that tune. And it wasn't like a jazz singer doing it. It wasn't like any singer. It was her. And it was just the coolest moment. And so I would say, to me, that's the most positive memory I have.
One story I will tell that's funny now, but not so funny at the time. I was playing my gig, and I think somewhere in the second set, the restaurant above the club had a water main break, and the water started gushing out of the ceiling, and I kid you not, directly onto the soundboard. And so the soundboard blew up, the sound completely shut off, and we came to a screeching halt as we were like, what is going on?
We were doing the jam. I was a house bass player, of course. And, I think that particular tune, Mordecai was running it that night. And I think Ephraim was playing a tune. I forget which tune we were playing, but Ephraim was there. Red Young was playing piano, and Mike Kenning was on drums, and we're playing. Then the place starts to get a little bit smoky and kind of looking around, playing. And then it became clear that there was most likely a fire. So the place started filling up with smoke. Right. We were looking around, and at first we start to see it, and, they have all those candles there. So we're thinking, oh, one of the candles burnt out, and it just kind of has that smoky smell or something like that happen. But then it became clear that this wasn't normal, and people start leaving, and everybody started leaving, and people start yelling, there's a fire, get out. But the trio, the rhythm section kept playing, Red kept playing. So I was like, well, I guess I should keep playing. I don't want to leave them hanging. And then Mike on drums kept playing. So we just kept kind of playing until the place was clear, and then we're like, all right, I guess we should go now. So we didn't want it to get in the way of a good song, right? But so we went outside. Everybody was outside. The fire department came, and the restaurant above was on fire. The kitchen was on fire, and so the smoke was going through the intake valve and coming through the AC into the club. So the elephant room wasn't on fire, but above it was. So we got out, they cleared the whole block, basically, not just the whole building, but the whole block. So that's maybe one of the more memorable ones. Not because of the musical reasons, but, just definitely sticks out.
So the 80 Mannion one, so AD, you know, I'm sure what people have told you is that he was kind of this elder sage of the jazz scene in the 90s. And rightly so. I mean, you know, he played with when he was 15, he played with Mingus. He was Danny Richmond's sub, and he played with Booker Ervin and Joe Pass. You know, he toured with Joe Pass. I mean, AD, and he was the most swinging drummer in Austin, and a really amazing guy. And he was very centered, and he had very, you know, he'd struggled with health issues and had a really great kind of, you know, vibe about him. And people went to him for advice, and, you know, and he was very helpful. But most people don't know that he was kind of mischievous too, because at the jam session, I saw on 2 occasions, and I have no reason to think he didn't do this at other times, but because he was the house drummer at the jam when I was the house. So the house band at that point was either James Polk, me, and AD, or sometimes Jeff Helmer and me and AD and people like that. But AD was always there until, you know, he was too sick to play. And so, you know, and everyone would come up to him at the jam and, you know, say, you know, AD, what do you think about my playing? And he was very encouraging and everything. But I do know, I saw on 2 different occasions, like if a drummer was about to sit in or waiting to sit in, they would kind of be sitting against the wall with their stick bags. He'd wait for like one of the drummers to go to the bathroom and leave their stick bag, you know, like against the wall. And then he would grab their stick bag really fast and hide it on stage behind the piano. And then when the drummer would come out, he would be like looking around, and he would be at the drum set going, "What's the matter?" And he'd be like, my stick, did you see my stick bag? And he would say, "Oh, was it a blue reunion blue stick bag?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, that was it." And he'd go, "That guy there just walked out with it," like whoever was walking out the club. And they would run after him. I saw him do that twice to 2 different drummers. And you know, most people would never believe that he would do something like that, because he was such, you know, such a sort of like guru, you know.
I'd like to send this next tune out to A.D. Mannion, Tony Campese, and Martin Banks.